Separated and divorced parents don't need to compete for their child's affection. There is plenty of love to go around. However, the effects on a child can be detrimental if adults can't get along. So what do you do so your child sees you both as number one? Stay tuned. We often see the great divide in anger that comes out of separated parents and divorced homes, mostly wanting the child or children to take a side as if they're in the middle of some sporting event. My parents got divorced when I was very young, and one of my earliest memories, I was probably 5, is sitting at the dinner table one night and the sun was coming in the window at my face and it was hitting me in the eyes. So my father, on the one side where the window was, the sun, was pulling me towards him so that the back of my head would be at the sun, while my mother was pulling me on the other side of the table so that my father's head would ultimately block the sun from hitting my eyes. At this time, I didn't really know nor understand why they were getting so frustrated with each other. However, looking back now, I was literally in the middle of this tug of war. When they divorced, I was 6, but the tension was always there, and this continued on. Now, I want to premise these stories with the fact that now that I'm an adult and grown up, I can see both sides to the story. However, as a child living with my mom, I often felt guilty for times that I wanted to spend with my dad. This is of no reflection on my mom or my dad, as they did the best they could with what they knew. The point of this video is to help you understand what it psychologically does to a child. So for many years, when I was growing up, my father did not come around for school events, birthdays, graduation. I thought he didn't care. Come to find out after I had addressed this topic with him one night in my late 20s, his perspective was that he didn't feel wanted because at birthday parties, there would mostly be my mom's side of the family, and at school concerts, he felt unwanted as well. And his feelings are valid. However, children don't know how adults feel or what the situation is. All they know or remember was who was there during those important moments growing up and who wasn't. Now, on my mother's side, she was hurt. She was a single mom, a school teacher, raising 2 young girls and doing everything she could to meet our needs. And I will always be grateful to her for that. However, her animosity and anger could also be felt when it came to my father. So parents, whether you believe it or not, or you think that your child will be okay, or you're so angry that you badmouth the other parent in front of your children, or make them feel guilty for wanting to spend time with them, or argue with each other when one drops one off or the other one picks one up, you're not hurting anyone except for the child, because that is what they're going to remember. And let's just say that you're both 2 loving parents. You both want the best for your child. And if that's the case, then stop being selfish and putting your anger first and your hatred first and who did what and whose fault it is, because those are adults acting like children. And the only thing that you are doing in that situation is torturing the child. Your child wants to love you both equally. So whether one or the other cheated, or you simply fell out of love, or someone lied, committed a crime, whatever it might be, while you might think you're protecting the child, they don't understand yet. And forcing them to choose will cause resentment, usually towards the one pushing them to make the choice. And when you're a girl growing up, if you have a daughter, the relationship that the mother has with men in general, not just the father, tends to be the type of relationship that she looks for. Codependency sometimes. Happens the same way for sons and the relationship that their fathers have with women, or how women are treated in general. This will be how they usually treat women as well, or how they look for a significant other in life. One example, which is often seen a lot, is that parents who are in abusive relationships, girls, daughters, usually go on to find men that are abusive to them, and sons tend to go on and have abusive relationships as well. Now, this also happens on the reverse, where the son or the daughter chooses that they know that that's not what they want in their life, and that they can also happen as well. But the important thing here to remember is that we as adults need to set forth that example to our children. And so only showing love and kindness and how to have good relationships with each other, despite how difficult it may be if you are separated or divorced, that is ultimately the most important part. Now, I can sit here and tell you other personal scenarios, and I can share other stories of how other people that I know who lived in homes whose parents were divorced or separated caused significant psychological issues for the children. So if you find yourself in a very toxic relationship with your significant other, whether you're separated, divorced, you need to somehow come together and find those strategies that you can at least be cordial and loving to each other for the sake of your child. If you find that you're constantly talking badly about your child's mother or father, then you need to stop, especially if you're doing it in front of the child. You need to agree in the one thing you both can agree on, and that is that the child or children and their overall health and well-being is the most important thing that you guys will ever agree on for the rest of your life. And if this means putting aside your differences, forgetting about whose fault it is or why it happened or whatever it was, then that's what you need to do. Because it takes two to tango. So whether someone cheated or someone did something wrong or whatever the reason is, or you just have grown apart, it doesn't matter what the reason is. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. What does matter is that for the brief time that you are both together, that you are fully 100% getting along without tension, animosity, or arguing in front of the child, because they don't understand. And they won't get it until many years later. So by staying away or thinking you're doing a good deed by not going around because you don't feel comfortable, like my father did, or by making your child choose, and if they don't choose, then you make them feel guilty, then shame on you. Adults, you need to be the adults. And always let your children know that no matter what, you are there for them. So whatever it is you need to take care of it, if you're doing any of these negative behaviors in front of your child, then you need to stop and ask yourself, in this very moment, what am I going to do to put my child first, not me, so that they can have a healthy relationship with both parents? Because ultimately, your child just wants to love you both the same.
Considering a homeschool program for your children? Visit MaggioVirtualAcademy.com. Listen, learn, and take action with our weekly podcast, The Secret to Success Isn't So Secret.
And get your copy today of Follows and Likes, Is This All That I'm Worth?